A woman crushed sleeping pills into a fine powder and mixed it into a glass of water, which she then fed to her own daughter. Once the girl was fast asleep, the woman followed the local fisherman and took her daughter to the seaside. She dipped Annie's hand into the ocean water, all for the sake of helping the fisherman catch more fish. Sure enough, by the next day, the fishermen were busy processing their bountiful haul of fish, and the island's residents had greedy smiles plastered across their faces. However, when Nick learned about this, he decided to take Annie and leave the small island. He didn't want the island's residents exploiting Annie's special ability for their own personal gain. The doctor, who was standing nearby, also sensed Nick's intentions. He too hoped that Annie wouldn't be manipulated by those greedy folks. Little did they know that their conversation was overheard by Lucy, who was not far away. That evening, just as the doctor returned home from the clinic, he was surprised to find Lucy waiting for him inside his house. The doctor had no idea why Lucy was there, and without any suspicion, he drank the red wine that Lucy had prepared for him. Suddenly, Lucy gave a slight nod. At first, the doctor paid no attention to Lucy's gesture, but as soon as she turned to leave, a sharp pain shot through the doctor's abdomen. He began foaming at the mouth and stopped breathing. It turned out that Lucy had poisoned the doctor's wine glass. Once everything settled down, Lucy set the doctor's house on fire, destroying all the evidence. When Nick saw the doctor's house go up in flames, he instantly had a bad feeling. A man spotted a speedboat appearing on the surface of the sea and immediately rang the alarm bell, looking tense. It turned out to be a policewoman and a social worker from a children's welfare center who had heard about a child abuse case on the small island and had come to take Annie's family back to the police station for an investigation. This immediately triggered the fishermen's discontent, and they raised their hunting rifles in protest. The fishermen refused to let the police take Annie away from the island because Annie could summon schools of fish, which had been sustaining the island's fishermen. Once Annie left, they would no longer be able to live a prosperous life. In the critical moment, the policewoman hurriedly drew her gun in self-defense but accidentally shot Nick due to her nervousness. In an instant, the policewoman was also shot by a fisherman. Lucy quickly helped the wounded Nick into the house. Nick begged Lucy to save Annie, and Lucy also made a request for him to stay on the island with Annie forever. After getting Nick's response, Lucy eagerly brought a glass of sleeping pills upstairs and had Lisa force Annie to drink it. At this point, Annie had no idea what was happening. Suddenly, Annie's mother pinned her down on the bed and force-fed her the medicine. Annie had no choice but to struggle desperately. As a piercing scream rang out, Annie's little friend suddenly burst in, holding a gun. She asked everyone why they were doing this. In order to prevent the tragic events from unfolding, Lucy tried to rush forward and grab the gun. Suddenly, after Annie let out a heart-wrenching scream, everyone in the house fell silent. The fishermen on the small island, because of their own greed and selfishness, had forever lost their lives. Annie never imagined that the one thing she feared the most would end up happening after all.